Alright, the first Star Wars movie in 6.5 years. In case anyone doesn't know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan and have been for over a decade. No way I was missing out on this one. Despite that, I've been very mixed on the Disney era. The sequel trilogy was a huge letdown, but I liked Rogue One and Solo. And then there's the TV shows, but I don't really want to talk about them here, except for the show this is related to, of course. So I went into this happy that we're finally seeing a Star Wars movie on the big screen, but also a bit skeptical, as I feel like this isn't really the right movie to bring Star Wars back. Also, I really enjoyed The Mandalorian, at least the first 2 seasons, so I guess the idea of seeing him in a theater was cool too. So what did I think of The Mandalorian and Grogu? It was fine. Was I entertained? Yes. Did I absolutely love it? No, not really. Was it the right return of Star Wars to the big screen that it should have been? Honestly, no. Even though I'm mixed on The Force Awakens, I'll give credit that felt more like a grand return to the movies. Let's start with what I liked. First of all, it is pretty awesome to see the Mandalorian and Grogu characters on the big screen. I love them from the show, and seeing them getting into these huge action sequences was certainly cool. The Mandalorian himself is a great character, being a badass bounty hunter who kicks a lot of butt, but he's not perfect, and he does lose a handful of times. The three guys wearing the costume did a great job portraying him, and Pedro Pascal's vocal performance was good too. And Grogu still looks good. The puppetry is still really nice. I love seeing him mature more and helping Mando during the missions. There's an extended sequence where Grogu has to help Mando after he's injured, and it's really nice to see. Rada the Hutt from the Clone Wars movie returns. I'll admit I was certainly surprised to see him back, but I was surprised how much I liked him. The CGI for him looks amazing, the voice actor does a good job, and I also like his characterization. Even though he's Jabba's son, he doesn't want to be solely seen as that. He wants to be more of his own person, and he surprisingly has some solid fight scenes alongside Mando and Grogu. The Mandalorian TV show always had spectacular looking set design, special effects, and everything. It borderline looks movie quality, so to now actually see that on an actual big screen was awesome. Unlike the Clone Wars movie, it doesn't look like cheap slop that was clearly made for TV, and I appreciate that. If anything, it looks better and more expensive. This includes the action sequences, which were always great in the show, and here they're amazing too. This movie certainly kills it in the action department. Ludwig Göransson returns to do the musical score, and it's phenomenal. Hearing him reuse his iconic Mandalorian music from the show was amazing, and he did some cool things here and there to make it sound more cinematic. This was another pretty dang good score from the composer of Black Panther, Tenet, and Sinners. Now on to the negatives. Despite me liking seeing all of this on the big screen, the story is what ruins it for me. It's not necessarily a bad story, but it's also nothing really special. During this entire experience, I couldn't help but wonder why this particular story needed to be a movie. Why couldn't it have been a season of the show? This especially applies to Mando and Grogu's relationship. Again, I like it, but this movie doesn't really do a whole lot to add to it. It's mostly the same from the show. I honestly hoped something significant would happen with them to justify this being a movie, but nothing really did. There are two side characters here, Colonel Ward, Sigourney Weaver's character, and Zeb Orrelios, one of the main characters from Rebels. While it was cool to see them in this movie, there isn't a whole lot to them. They're mostly just side characters with no real arcs or anything. The villains this time around are the Hutt twins, who we previously saw in the Book of Boba Fett. I wish that show had explored their characters more, and I guess this movie kind of did that, but not really. They're perfectly fine villains, but when you compare them to other Star Wars villains, they fall flat. They mostly just feel like a discount Jabba, being Hutts that intimidates the heroes and are extremely powerful. And while I like the music, I was disappointed that Göransson didn't reuse any of John Williams' iconic themes or motifs. Being the first Star Wars movie in years, I kind of want to hear Williams's, but alas, there's none. In conclusion, I enjoyed this movie and it certainly had its moments, but I also couldn't help but shake the feeling that this didn't do a whole lot to excite me. As the first Star Wars movie in years, it's not a grand return as the story felt small. As a story of the Mandalorian in movie form, it just doesn't do anything that couldn't have been covered on Disney+. I wish I'd liked this movie more, but sadly, not really. 6 out of 10.